Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and it's Ken, aka That One Noob, here today with yet another new and exciting video review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Campfire Audio Polaris, which is a very nice and interesting IEM from Campfire Audio. Um, Before I go further, first of all, a Happy New Year to everyone watching this video review. Thank you for an awesome 2017. And for those of you interested in what happened in the latter half of 2017, why I haven't produced more audio reviews, and where the PMR audio reviews will be headed 2018, do check out a companion video. I will be releasing that very soon. Second of all, a massive thank you to Campfire Audio for putting up with my nonsense. They're probably wondering, hey, who is that one noob? Why is he so irresponsible? Why can't he meet the deadlines and get the videos out on time? And you know what? I have been very irresponsible. I have not gotten my videos out on time, and I do apologize for that. But hey, here we are with the Campfire Audio Polaris. So now, I guess it's better than never. Once again, a big thank you to CA for putting up with my nonsense. I'll explain a bit further in my other video, and let's get started with this audio review. This is 2018. Hello guys, this is the first video review of 2018. Alright, let's go. Now, in terms of build, the Campfire Audio Polaris is very similar to the Campfire Audio Vega. They both have this very geometric faceted shell, but a couple differences. First of all, I think the Andromeda has a green shell. Yes, as we can tell, this is a little bit different. But it's also completely CNC aluminum, whereas with the Polaris we have this, I think it's a Cerakote finish with the blue CNC aluminum enclosure here. So a slight difference, the Cerakote looks really nice IRL in real life, and so does the blue, actually much better than the photos, surprisingly, because Campfire Audio is usually amazing about their photos, but this looks even better in real life. Now, the other thing is that the Campfire Audio Polaris uses a new plastic stem. I don't think we've seen this on any other Campfire Audio. It's different from the one on the Vega. It's not wide bore, it's a bit narrower, and it's of a better plastic quality, honestly. There's no form of plastic flash on the side, and it is just really smooth, and it fits perfectly flush with the shell, no issues there. The great thing about this is that I think the Andromeda had some issues in terms of condensation. Like if you were walking out in the cold and you entered like a pretty warm building, you would have like water droplets literally condensing on this bore, which is kind of terrifying, because if you think about it, getting into the IEM, that could be a really bad day for everyone involved. And so we don't have this issue with the Polaris. I haven't experienced it yet personally, and it's a really nice welcome change. The cable is also a different color. It's not transparent silver lids. I'm not sure if it's the same material, so if someone who does cable research or is into that, you know what, just let me know. I don't personally believe in cables. I'll just throw that out there, but hey, if that's your thing, let me know. I don't know if it's the same type of material. The braid is a little bit tighter, especially here. You can tell it's really quite a bit tighter than the braid here. So could be a different material. Now, without further ado, let's talk a bit about the sound of the Campfire Audio Polaris. The Campfire Audio Polaris, overall, first of all, is a very tip-dependent earphone. I would strongly suggest doing yourself a solid favor and buying some Sony ear tips for this, because of the way this earphone tends to sit deeper in the ear canal. I really enjoy the Sony ear tips, and for some reason the spin fits, though I have them here, they didn't. And the spiral dots, these are usually my go-to ear tips. These did not work well on the Polaris at all. With the spin fits, the sound was somewhat thin, very hollow, and I'm not exactly sure that's the sound I like. It's not very good, honestly. With the spiral dots, it was a little bit better, but it was still a bit of that wonkiness. It was a little bit thin. But when you put on the Sony ear tips, and I don't have the measurements on me right now because I'm a bit far from my home base. When you put on the measurements, when you put on the Sony ear tips, you can it fixes a lot of the initial complaints I had with the spin fits, and so I will do most of my assessment there. Starting with the bass, the Campfire Audio Polaris's bass has this really nice textured feeling to it. It's textured. It's got a decent amount of detail. It slams pretty hard. It moves pretty quick. You're like, wait, Ken, those are just buzzwords for decent bass. And heck, the Polaris does have pretty decent bass. Like, make no mistake about it. This is a earphone with a slightly V-shaped signature, and it does have good bass. No issues there. The one thing that I think you'll notice upon your first listen is that the timbre of the dynamic driver is significantly different than that of the balanced armature drivers. And you're like, Ken, yeah, everyone knows that. And yes, obviously we'll never get the BA to sound like the dynamic driver and vice versa, but it sounds markedly different. I've imagined that if somehow the Vegas drivers had been able to be transplanted into this, it would have sounded a little bit better, because the balanced armatures are detailed. They sound pretty smooth. It stands in stark contrast to the more textured, there's honestly a bit of grit, and I don't know what that means specifically, but that is the best word I have to describe the bass. The bass sounds somewhat gritty. So there is that aspect of the sound, but with the Sony tips, it's not that much of an issue, and honestly, I enjoy the bass a lot, so, I'm willing to let that slide. Lower mids are an issue on this earphone. They're not very good. And I'll just come out and say that, there's no other way to put it except that the Campfire Audio suffers from kind of sucked out lower mids. It's not great. Upper mids are fine. Treble is, to me, inoffensive. I have not yet had an issue with the treble. I feel like it adds just that touch of sparkle when you need it. Kind of does a bit of that Andromeda thing, obviously, but not in the same regard. Now, I think there was a bit of hype at the start. People were like, is this the new Andromeda? And I have to say, no, this is not the new Andromeda. Sorry, guys. What the Campfire Audio Polaris does is provides a V-shaped signature, a very fun sound signature that's also slightly more forgiving, and it has bass, which isn't to say the Andromeda also has bass, but it has this very, very punchy. It's dynamic. It's a fast-sounding bass. Yeah, that's what the Campfire Audio Polaris does. Where the Andromeda wins solidly, once again, is in terms of resolution. The Campfire Audio Andromeda definitely has far more resolution than the Polaris. It has much better coherency, if you ask me personally. It also has a solid, really, really natural sounding soundstage and imaging. Some people have complained that the Andromeda sounds a little unnatural in terms of soundstage. I don't feel so in any way whatsoever. So the Andromeda has some amazing soundstage and imaging. And for a top of the line IEM, this is one of the best values for money. I'm not talking UE18 or Profile 8 yet, but if we're talking against competitors from, like, say, maybe Noble, which I personally didn't enjoy that much. I thought the Katana was honestly not a very coherent sounding earphone. Or perhaps if we talk a bit about the any of the Westone Assure offerings, which are really not that good. Yeah, the 846 is completely outclassed these days, and the W80, oh boy, that was a no-go. I'm not sure how that managed to get onto the market, but yeah, so that is what the Andromeda is, and if you watched my previous video, you'll know what the Andromeda is. The Polaris doesn't seek to replace that. Instead, it offers itself as an alternative, a bit of a complement. The one issue is that the Polaris is expensive. It's pricey. I'm not exactly certain of the current street price, but the Campfire Audio Polaris, it comes in at the mid of the mid range of the Campfire Audio lineup. So that's gonna set you back about, and I'm doing a bit of a Google search here just to refresh. I don't want to get this wrong. It comes in at $600, like I thought. Yep. So this is a $600 earphone, and when we talk about $600 earphones, we have to think about other hybrids. Like, sorry about that. We have to think about, say, the Juno DN2000, which does an excellent job, and does a lot of what the Polaris can do, and also really nicely too. I think some of the new Dunu offerings are also really, really good. I haven't tried many of those myself. I think the 33003 or something like that. I have yet to try those yet, but I've heard they are also similarly excellent. Now, the one thing that the Campfire Audio Polaris does provide is the a really nice overall product package. It's very full. It's very, you're gonna get that whole Campfire audio experience, and that build is certainly impeccable. So there is that aspect to it. If you want a really solid feeling earphone, Campfire Audio Polaris, you can't go wrong. Whether you're willing to make that leap for value for money is entirely your call. Personally, I think, for me, I would save the money and go straight to an Andromeda. But if you're not willing to make that complete leap to a B-stock Andromeda, the Polaris is a good place to be if you want to get started in the Campfire Audio Campfire Audio lineup. Apart from that, I don't really have much else to say. I think this is a very solid earphone once you make a couple of changes to the ear tips. The lower mids, yes, that is a defining issue. It is not a critical flaw that completely makes this earphone invalid, but do be warned, the lower mids sound sucked out. Apart from that, I'd say the Campfire Audio Polaris is a strong offering. It's a solid offering, albeit slightly pricey, but hey, that's possibly the cost of admission for high quality audio. And you know what? I would say if you like a V-shaped signature, if you like a fun sound, and you've been a fan of Campfire Audio, this is a earphone to consider. With that, once again, guys, thanks for watching and have a great new year. This is That One Noob signing off.